and welcome back to the Exist Better YouTube channel. There are some things I wanted to throw out there into the universe, into the internet sphere about basically, obviously, like the coronavirus, media stuff, everything that's happening in the whole world right now. I think there are some things that really need to be highlighted. So this is going to be a really me giving my opinion / me giving my advice video. Certainly not everyone's going to love it, but this is what I have to say. I personally have, starting about, I don't know, maybe like 2 or so years ago, I cut myself off from news and media for the most part. Occasionally I will still stumble upon things as I'm, opening tabs and browsers and opening the internet. You do see things still on occasion, but for the most part I have completely stopped consuming news. And since I have stopped doing that, I have noticed a dramatic reduction in chaos, chaos and drama and just nonsense in my life. Of course, we still have like problems that come up in concrete reality. That's normal. But I am basically advising people who consume a lot of news content to stop doing that. And I know that in itself is like a controversial thing. So let me say a few things. One, I understand that a lot of people follow mainstream news and they trust it. I think at this point in time, it is very detrimental to do that. Borderline delusional to continue to consume these big media companies, these, the major ones, the ones I'm talking about, to pick any of them and assume that you are getting factual, real information, even like 70% of the time, it's officially dangerous. And I don't like to be alarmist. I really hate fear-based content. But I think it's gotten to such an extreme that anytime I do catch a glimpse of, like when I see someone else watching a news broadcast on their phone, or anytime I see it, it is not reality. To some extent, there may be bits and pieces that are definitely, the reality that we're all sharing. I'm not trying to say that like there's nothing happening in the world and it's completely made up. But there's, what you have to understand about news and information is that there are a billion angles you can come at a story from. And I know this as a writer. I have written articles for clients that argue one point and I find a bunch of research to support it. And then I write an article for another client that has the opposite point that also has a bunch of research that supports it. So truth is relative. In some ways there is like truth in fiction. There's a reality. There's some reality that we're all living in to some extent. But mostly truth is super relative, and it is very, very, very manipulated, especially right now. So I am challenging you, if you're watching this, to do the most extreme media blackout that is comfortable for you. So for me personally, it's basically 100%. I almost never consume news, and that works for me because I work from home. The job that I do have that I have to go to in person, I don't need to read anything. There's nothing going on right now to where I really need to check news. I don't have kids who are in school, so that's like a bit of a privileged place that I'm in, to where I can do a total media blackout. And if I really need to know, like, is is this location open? I want to go to this location. I can look that up quickly and find out, like, if there's anything I really need to know in the moment. For other people, I understand, like, you may have kids, you need to know when they're going back to school, so you may need to, like, follow that news stream, or, if you have a job and you need to know information about that job, you may even want to set, like, Google alerts for just the title of your job, or just school district, or something, you get what I'm saying, along those lines, so that you don't have to be sifting through what, in my opinion, is complete and total conditioning and brainwashing. It is really that. And again, I am not an alarmist type of person. I think scaring people is kind of ridiculous. Like conspiracy theories where you're just strictly trying to scare people, I think that's utterly ridiculous. So, but with that said, I think it has gotten to such an extreme that it is completely toxic to be consuming this onslaught of media nonsense. It is nonsense. And I know probably a lot of you watching, or a lot of people I've talked to or known in my life, they have this mentality that's like, well, I know how the media is. I know that they lie all the time, and still I see them every single day scrolling through their phones, reading everything. And it's like, you can't be, it is naive to believe that you are so smart and so wide awake that no form of conditioning can get through to you. That's completely naive. That is not true. This is why I have plenty of skepticism about basically everything, and I've always kind of been like that to some extent. And still, I view it as not consuming the majority of media nowadays. I view it as like a hygiene practice. It's a mental hygiene practice. And of course, there's always going to be those news outlets that are like reporting things in the way that you like to hear them. They're like sort of on your side. And again, it's negative territory to get into that, because then you're confirming what you already believe. You're not taking in any new information. So I want to encourage, with this outbreak of virus, or whatever you want to call it, this outbreak of media fear-based content that is going along with this pandemic stuff, I want to encourage you to start getting your information from the life that you are living. So instead of checking your phone to find out what reality is, I want you to go outside, or okay, maybe not. maybe you're not supposed to be going outside, but I want you to walk out your front door if you want to see what the weather is. I want you to call your neighbor or yell across the street to see what's going on in your neighborhood. Check in with how you're feeling to know if you are actually in danger. Another really interesting thing is watching what animals are doing, because there's a lot of research that animals can predict disasters, like natural disasters and stuff. So if you look out the window and you see birds chirping and animals like relaxing outside, this is the reality. This is real reality for you to tune into. Whatever the news is telling you, that, the news is telling you that everyone around you is going to die and you're going to die and all this, it's complete hysteria. There is a lot of evidence that the hysteria and fear that's being built up is distraction oriented. It's there to distract you from, one, being in your center and in your power, which is what you would be in if you weren't consuming this media constantly. You would be moving toward at least neutrality, like feeling kind of normal, average, if not like completely in your power. So again, I don't like to be alarmist, but I mean, manipulation is a big, big element of the world that we're living in right now. And anyone who has a platform to speak on, um, that is in the mainstream, like the majority of politicians, the majority of big corporations, pretty much anyone, like Google, Facebook, Amazon, anyone with a big platform and a lot of money, their information is here to manipulate you into doing what they want you to do. Period. I don't care if they're like a good person in some sense, like it doesn't matter. Their information exists to get you to do what's best for them, which often conflicts directly with what is best for you. More than anyone else, this applies to modern media. These people who we put our trust into, um, there's a big, big psychological issue happening that has been the case for probably forever. And that is um, this lack of spiritual maturity. The fact that we as a culture and as individuals don't mature spiritually, like emotionally, mentally, we don't mature. And so there are parts of us that are still children, literally. Parts of our psyche that are actually children. So we are projecting our parent onto, you name it, media, um, politicians, gods, deities, religions, um, uh, corporations, maybe even. What else? News and media is really the big one. We are projecting that parent complex onto these knowers of all things who are, to be frank with you, are really just scared children. They're like, many of them are in the depths of just being totally lost in illusions, chasing fame, chasing money, hurting people constantly, destroying the environment, on a death cycle is what many spiritual teachers would call it. They're spiraling down and down and down and down into darker and darker territory. And when you're looking up to these people, assuming that they're all knowing just because they're on TV, it's you're being led astray so dramatically, so dramatically led astray. So that's the gist of what I wanted to say here. I'm sure a lot of you watching this are not going to be surprised at any of this, and it might seem like, yeah, like I already know all that, like whatever. But I want to drive home this point that when you're being conditioned, it's subtle. When you're being conditioned, it's subtle. You're not going to consciously notice a lot of the time. And even if you do, you're going to assume it's not having any effect on how you live your life, the decisions you make. But when you're being constantly showered in fear every waking minute, it's going to change your entire life. Whether you think you're smart, whether you think you're above it all, like, trust me, like, I get it. You can fall into that trap sometimes, but it's naive. So, information hygiene is the most important practice right now. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that even I would consider at this point in time beginning to branch out into information sources that maybe you discredited in the past. So really looking at fringe groups, and trust me, there's like I said, there's plenty of misinformation, not just in mainstream media, but also in like fringe media as well. But I am encouraging you to expand your horizons of what you think is possible as far as media manipulation. Again, I understand there's a pandemic and people are really suffering, and by no means am I saying, like, don't, by no means am I saying that that's not a part of reality and that that's not happening. I'm just saying if that is not directly happening to you, to where you are in a health crisis right now, then everything I said prior to this really, really applies. And that is the main practice. If you're not in a health crisis right now, or someone in your immediate family is not having a health crisis, then all of your attention needs to go toward grounding, centering, being in your actual reality, and seeing what's going on in your actual reality, because that's the only way you can learn, and that is the only way that you can be safe and really literally protect yourself, is by educating yourself with what's happening around you. Not looking on your phone, not going online and seeing, reading what people are saying in comment sections necessarily, or certainly not, just reading news headlines. That's not the reality that you're living. So there's a lot more that I can go into as far as, I don't want to say anything specific here because, frankly, I don't know anything about this situation either. I don't know. I have no personal experience with it. But if you are interested in some alternative perspectives, I am going to post some links down below. I'm turning off my comment section because I don't want any like stray people coming onto this channel and blowing it up and saying, like crazy argument stuff. I'm not here to debate or argue. I am here to explore alternative perspectives. That is definitely one of the main things I'm here to do through this platform, is explore alternative perspectives of potential truth. So if you are interested in alternative perspectives of what is going on right now, I'm going to post those links below. I'm not making claims here. I'm sharing information that I find to be intriguing. Please do not send me hate mail. I'm not interested. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys won't, but I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah. I believe in questioning everything, and when I don't know something, I look for more information. And if you are just looking at mainstream media, any mainstream media, it doesn't matter if it's Democratic or Republican or whatever bullshit, anything, there's going to be extreme limits around what is being told. So keep that in mind. Again, there's a million things you can do in your day-to-day life to strengthen your immune system, to just strengthen your body, sleep habits, eating habits, meditation, mental health practices, common sense stuff that you can be doing for your health, experimenting with herbs and plant medicine and all this stuff. You are not a powerless victim, no matter how extreme any situation is. You are living moment to moment in your life. So start to look at, of the things that are available to you in your life, take a look around your actual physical reality. What is available to you right now that you could use to keep yourself in a state of well-being, physically and mentally and emotionally? So that's all I wanted to say here. Like I said, some links below. Feel free to explore those. Please don't send me hate mail. I'm not interested. And yeah, that's everything. Thank you for watching. I hope this information helped you, and